We are here with a simple goal, and that's to try new, delicious whiskeys without buying any whiskey. We're making new whiskeys at home. Home blending, I call it a neat whiskey cocktail because home blending, people are like, that's not the same thing that like a master blender is doing, and I hear you. I think that that's fair. Let's call it a neat whiskey cocktail. We're taking whiskeys, we're blending them together in a glass, and at the end of that, and at the end of making our cocktail, we have neat whiskey, so it's a neat whiskey cocktail. Today's is gonna be awesome. Today's I'm very excited about because we're coming out of the gate with two whiskeys that we're gonna blend together that are very inexpensive. And it's all thanks to this comment here. So I wanna say thank you. I haven't tried this yet. I'm trying it for the first time on camera, and of course I'm gonna give my honest opinion. But we are going to try 1792 small batch with Cooper's Craft Barrel Reserve, the 100 proof Cooper's Craft. Before we do that, let's talk about 1792 small batch because this is going to be our base bourbon, and I want it to be our base because first of all, it's very widely available. Second of all, it's very inexpensive. I think this is a pretty good deal on my website that I sell whiskey through, noobswhiskey.com, shameless plug, but it's also a great deal like at your local liquor stores, most likely. This is like less than $30 for the bottle. So a great deal and also a really great blank slate bourbon. It tastes bourbony, it's approachable, it's relatively smooth. I know everybody's got an opinion about that word, but it's approachable, it's easy, it's a really good blank slate for us to put our Cooper's Craft on top of, and then we'll try some other stuff as well. So this is our base, especially because it's so widely available, which means we need to do a quick tasting of it, and that way we have something to compare to when we do our blends with it. So let's just start. Why am I measuring this? This is just a force of habit right now. That did not need to be measured. I don't know why I just did that. But anyhow, we're gonna give it a tasting. I will be spitting because I do have to work out later. Like why do I record before I have to work out? That's an excellent question. But I'll cut out the spitting for you guys, and don't worry, I do take a little tiny sip that I swallow that I use to get the finish. But before any of that, we gotta start with a nose anyhow. I could smell this before I even raise it up to my face, actually. Very nice, approachable sweetness just coming out of the glass. Didn't even have to get my nose too close to it. As you get closer, it smells very standard bourbon-y. I don't know the mash bill on 1792, but it just smells like a standard bourbon mash bill with rye instead of wheat. I mean, I've got some white sugar. I've got a little bit of vanilla. There is a little something else. There is, actually, it reminds me a little bit of Cooper's Craft in this regard. A touch of a light, I don't want to say banana because people get mad when I say banana, but for me it is banana, but I'm trying to say something that maybe is more common, like a light custard, a light creme brulee, something along those lines, because it's definitely not as strong here as it is in the Cooper's Craft. Or Woodford Reserve Double Oaked is another really common one where I get a strong banana. The charcoal comes through as banana. There's just the tiniest hint of that here, but here it's definitely more like a vanilla custard. It's been a long time since I've had a sip of this. Let's dive in. Wow. I will cut out my use of the Stay Sober jug for you guys because I care about you. That's why. Don't want you watching me spit into a jug. Way approachable. I mean, first sip, what's incredibly noticeable is glides across the tongue, nice viscosity, very approachable. There's a little bit of a black pepper towards the end, but really like, as far as approachability with bourbon goes, this has that. This has got to be low proof. 93.7 proof. Not horrible, actually. I was expecting below 90. That's long enough on our base whiskey. We will use this to compare to. Let's start with Cooper's Craft Barrel Reserve. So once again, this was just recommended in one of the comments. I haven't tried it yet, but it sounds fantastic because Cooper's Craft Barrel Reserve, if you've never had it, it is a bit more oaky. It is rather oaky. The barrel influence is strong. It has some of the cinnamon. It has a little bit of the tannin. It has a little bit of like leather. I would even go as far as to say maybe a little bit of a vanilla tobacco. Those types of flavors. Phenomenal cork pop as well, apparently. I haven't opened this in a while. It also has, as I mentioned, that distinct flavor that for me comes through as banana. That's what it reminds me of. I don't feel worried about saying that with this bottle. It's not quite as much banana in the 1792, but in the Cooper's Craft, absolutely, it's banana. So first, let's give them a good swirling. As always, I'm starting with a 1-to-1 ratio. If I find something that I like that feels like it's just a touch off, then I will go with more precise ratios. But I always start with 1-to-1 just to see, are these even gonna mesh? Are these even gonna play with each other, or are they just gonna cancel each other out? Or are you gonna get the worst of both worlds? It's the anti-Hannah Montana. It happens sometimes. We don't want that. We want the best of both worlds. On the nose, that was a bad joke, I'm sorry. On the nose, the alcohol is a little bit more pronounced. Definitely, this is a little higher proof. This is 100 proof, but definitely more alcohol coming out of the glass now. The sweetness got more caramelized. I want to compare to this nose real quick. Yeah, for sure. You've got light, a little bit herbal, a little bit like fresh cut hay on the plain 1792. That's something that I missed, some of that rye influence, because now it's noticeably gone. Now it's caramelized. There might be a little bit of that rye influence there, but you're getting more, the oak is showing through more than that. You're getting more of a brown sugar, less of a white sugar. And that's about all I can say about the nose for now. Let's dive into the palate. Oh, I think I'm gonna like this one. Oh, it never fails, however many videos I make. I always try to talk while there's still whiskey in my mouth. But the reason that I got that reaction right away, these for sure are working together. They're for sure still approachable. Sometimes you'll just get a harshness right away when you mix two whiskeys that are relatively approachable. I don't know the science behind that, but it's what happens. Right away, this was approachable, but it also was full-bodied. It covered my whole tongue right away because you have some of that rye influence, but you have some of that barrel influence, very much covering every part of the palate. Ooh, by the way, less than 30 bucks. Low 30s, like 33, maybe 35 in Ohio now. I think this is going to be a lot more complex than what you would expect for that amount of money, for like low $30. So, you know, if you got to do the quick math, which is the average of these two prices. If you combine both of these bottles, you get a bottle that's around 30 bucks because you get two of them. So that's how I'm doing this math. I'm always averaging the prices, and we want to do better than what I would expect for that. That was a little confusing in my last video. Oh yeah, all day. Oh yeah. Ooh, this is going to be hard to beat at this price point because it's doing the Redwood Empire Pipe Dream, which is what I love about Redwood. They're using old whiskey and young whiskey. Here we're using like less oaky and more oaky, I would say. And you're getting that fully rounded palate. You've got the light sugars and candies. Then you've got the dark brown sugar, the oak, the leather that comes through. Surprisingly, like no banana. This had a little bit of banana. I know for a fact that this does for me usually. Surprisingly, like none, which is weird. Once again, I don't know the science of what's happening when these two combine. But well-rounded character, really tasty, and still approachable. This is fantastic. Whoever recommended this, I put your comment on the screen earlier. Great recommendation, especially for the price that these are. We want, as always, if you never watched one of these videos, we want to improve upon it even further. So we want to come up with something that's even better based on the way this reacted to that Cooper's Craft. So it went really well with Cooper's Craft, very oaky. I'm gonna do some looking, let's see. All right, right away, my mind went to something with less of a noticeable rye influence, a little bit more on the sweet side. So right away I saw it and I'm like, we're using it. We've got Bardstown Bourbon Origin Series. This is their high wheat. This is the 106 proof. I'll get you a little closer to the camera there so you can see it. This is candy sweet, which is actually less oaky than the Cooper's was, but it's so complex, it's so candy sweet. You get a little bit of like a grassiness, which is so weird considering it's high wheat. The mash bill is 53% corn, 39% wheat, a ton of wheat, and then 8% malted barley, and it's about 6 years old. So the thought is we're going far away from this rye influence and we're getting more candy sweet. There's usually a little bit of like a licorice flavor for me with this. I think when those two come together, hopefully we'll get something good. Now, this one's important. The bar is a little bit higher now because Bardstown High Wheat is a $50 bottle. So if you do the very quick maths and you average that out, that's around $40 when you combine them, when you combine these two. So we do have a higher bar to satisfy. We have to be better than Knob Creek 9-year. We have to be better than Redwood Empire Pipe Dream. I don't know if we can be better than Michter's because I think Michter's is just an unreal deal at about $40. Maybe it's more like 45, so maybe we don't have to be better than Michter's. But the bar is definitely higher. Let me get that out of the way before I spill whiskey all over myself. We want to get them blended together nicely. Okay, oh boy, yeah. Right away on the nose, that candy sweetness shows through. I was worried it would get a little bit too watered down, but right away that Twizzler, this always reminds me a little bit of like Twizzler. Right away, that's super noticeable. Let's compare back to the original. Yeah, oh yeah. We're way more into candy over here. So this, when I was just drinking the 1792 by itself, I'm like, it's sweet, it's white sugar. Now when you compare it to something that's as candy sweet and as sugary as this, it makes the ethanol, it makes the alcohol fumes way more noticeable over here. Which, by the way, for $28, I'm not complaining, trust me. I'm just saying that's how much higher caliber the nose on this one is. Okay, there's only one way to find out if it works. I don't know. Let's rinse out with a little water, shall we? It's good, don't get me wrong. It's not harsh, it's not hateful right away. I just don't know if it's good enough. Let's let it mingle a little longer. One more sip. It's very nice and sweet and approachable. It's just not doing anything interesting. So I'm not gonna waste any more time on that one. It's not interesting enough for me to be like, you've gotta buy both of these and make it. I'm sorry, I love Bardstown High Wheat, by the way, so I'm sorry, sweetie, but you're just not as good. Okay, now, if you know me, you know we're gonna go way off in left field. We gotta try something radical, we have to. If you've been watching these videos from the beginning, if you've watched several of them, you're gonna be like, you need to stop trying this. But I'm not gonna stop trying it. This is gonna work one of these days. Johnnie Walker Black. Listen, okay, I actually recently did a podcast where I blind tasted this. I didn't know what I was tasting at all. I was just tasting a whiskey that my wife poured for me. Johnnie Walker Black is so good for the price. I want to say around 40 bucks. I could be a little off. It could be a little higher than that. But it's just so good. It's such a good middle of the road Scotch whiskey. And so my goal, my like singular goal in these videos is to find a mixture with Johnnie Walker Black that works well. I'm gonna need a cup to pour this into. And I'm actually going to rinse this a little bit. A little trick of the pros here, guys. I'm sorry you have to see my Stay Sober jug. You can give your jigger a little bit of a rinse out with whatever you're about to pour into it next. And then there you go. It's nice and clean. I'm sorry you had to see my Stay Sober jug. Okay, half ounce of 1792, actually quarter ounce, sorry, of 1792 small batch. We're doing half ounce pours here. We're not trying to get all liquored up in the middle of the day. And a quarter ounce of Johnnie Walker Black Label. My hope. Johnnie Walker Black Label has a little bit of a smokiness, a little bit of the malty sweet, although malty sweet is not like the most flavor that you get from it. It's not the most strong, the most powerful flavor in the profile. My hope is you take something that's relatively simple but approachable, you add something that's relatively complex while still being approachable, and you get a Frankenstein that tastes amazing. That's what I'm hoping for here. What's happening on the nose, Chris? Glad you asked. Well, wow, actually. On the nose, surprisingly fruity. So there's a tiny bit of that smoke coming through, but surprisingly like bright red fruit. Some sugary sweetness, very sugary sweet, actually. I'm gonna say sugary sweetness, dried plum, maybe? Something like that. And then smoke at the end. Definite smoke at the end. Okay, wow, let's compare to the original real quick. Oh yeah, I mean, it's like a completely different whiskey. Not even a recognizable trait. Maybe the Johnnie Walker took over the ship. I don't know, only one way to find out, we'll see. Okay. Listen, that is not bad. That is by far the best blend we've gotten with Johnnie Walker Black in the history of doing, what do I call this? Making budget taste better. There we go. Oh my gosh. I can't even think straight because I'm so bewildered by this. So, normally, what always fails is the funk of the Johnnie Walker Black and the straight arrow that is the bourbon that I'm trying to blend it with just makes this really weird thing. But here, I would say it tastes mostly like the Johnnie Walker Black. Like it tastes like 3/4 of this was Johnnie Walker Black, but it's not. You watch me measure it. So mostly Johnnie Walker Black. So if you like that as your base, you're in a great spot because then you add the sugar from the 1792, the sugary sweetness, the little bit of rye influence, the little bit of like light sweet baking spice, not your dark, not your super cinnamon burnt sugar, but like your light baking spice, a little bit of a cinnamon sugar, maybe a tiny bit of a caramel, vanilla. You're adding those sweetnesses into the Johnnie Walker Black. It's taking away some of that smokiness. You do still get a little bit of that smokiness. Oh, wow. One more sip. That's like fantastic if you like the taste of Johnnie Walker Black. It's more complex than Johnnie Walker Black is. It has more of a light sweet flavor to it. That is I'm overselling this because I'm so excited that Johnnie Walker Black finally worked. That's a dub. That is a win. That's delicious. So let's go off into a different left field, right? We haven't mixed with a rye whiskey yet. What do I have? I always forget to mention, comment your favorite mixes, your favorite neat whiskey cocktails down below, and maybe I will use them in a future video. And also, subscribe, because we're going to be making more of these videos. I do a lot more than just this, too. I do reviews, too, so maybe subscribe. I was just making a video with this the other day, and I smelled it, and I'm like, man, I haven't tried this in a long time, and I haven't talked about it in a long time. Still Austin, the Artist Straight Rye Whiskey. The reason that I'm using this is because, for me, this is a very good example of rye spice, rye whiskey with rye character, with classic rye flavors. So we've already gotten malt, we've got malted barley, we've got oak, we've got all kinds of different flavors with this, but we haven't had just straight up rye influence. We're gonna see how that works. I'm hoping we kick up this 1792 to another notch so it has more body and a little bit more pop to it. I did already rinse this, I just cut it out so you didn't see it. But, ooh, nice cork pop too. We're gonna see. We're gonna see if this works or not. Oh boy, I poured too much in here, okay. Well, actually, that was a really nice reminder of what that actually tastes like. It's a little bit sweeter than I remembered. I thought it was gonna like really kick me in the teeth. It did not. What proof is this? 99.6 proof. Okay, well, it's also not super high proof. We're gonna see, guys. I don't know. I hope this works. This would be our first 3 for 4. 3 for 4? What didn't work? Oh, the Bardstown didn't work great. This would be our first 3 for 4, if this works. Okay, on the nose, the rye said I'm the captain now. The rye is like, this smells like a rye whiskey. There's a small undertone of caramel, a little bit, but mostly I'm getting black pepper. I'm getting definitely like fresh cut hay, like strong. I'm getting a little bit of a baking spice, a little bit herbal, a little bit, not dill, piney, a little bit piney. Okay, well, it smells like rye. Let's hope it tastes more like bourbon than rye. Maybe I need to go back to the OG for a second, see what this tastes like. Yeah, no, that does taste like bourbon and oak. This doesn't taste like much of anything yet. Maybe it's a slow burn. Sometimes they build. We'll see. Wow. This is rare. This is a rare thing to have happen, okay? This isn't the most body in the world, the most flavor in the world, right? It's a little bit simple, a little bit low proof. This is very full-bodied. This you taste without even trying. Like, you just take a sip of it and it's there, right? It punches you in the mouth. It's rye. This is very rare. When you put them both together, at least for me, this has less flavor and less body than even the 1792 by itself. This was like fire and ice. They just put each other out completely. It still has a nose to it, but I'm getting almost no flavor. One more, let's just be 100% sure. Oh yeah, wow. I mean, the flavor's there. You can hunt for it, but it's objectively, I think, maybe this is me on my high horse a little bit, I think objectively worse than either of these independently. Like, I think it's harder to find the flavors, even than just the 1792, which is relatively mild. I can never just get a 3 for $4 or a 4 for $4. It's like almost always 2 for $4. Maybe I'm shooting myself in the foot because I like go grab something super weird whenever anything works instead of like staying on that. But hey, it's a fun experiment. We found 2 winners. Let's bring the winners up here. So if you're mixing 1792 with something, not that one. Almost grabbed the Bardstown. You want Cooper's Craft Barrel Reserve, or you want Johnnie Walker Black. You want either more caramelized barrel type notes, or you want some smoke and some malt, and you want to basically kick up your Johnnie Walker to make it a little bit sweeter and more sugary. Either of these with your 1792 as a base 50-50, maybe you can dial them into whatever ratio you want. Those are going to be killer. And listen, if you enjoyed this episode, please go down in the description, check out the Whiskey Noobs crew. That's the best way to support the show. You also get access to every review that I am sent, every bottle that I am sent to review. I put it on the Patreon page. Whiskey Noobs crew, hosted on Patreon, I should clarify. You also get first access to barrel picks. As of the recording of this, I have a barrel pick that certain tiers of the Patreon have right now, and other tiers are waiting to get it, and I don't know if it's going to make it to the public or not. So you're going to get priority access to those. You're going to get a bunch of other really cool stuff. You get merch after a certain amount of time, and of course, it's the absolute best way to support this channel. But if you can't, I totally understand. Please subscribe, ring that notification bell, like, comment down below which mixes you want to see next. What are your favorite mixes? This is a ton of fun. We're keeping this series going. I'll see you guys the next one. Thanks for watching Whiskey Noobs.